United stand. Welcome to the Flex Files once again. Got the broski, Darren, Ben back in the cut. What you saying, man?
Well, good, you?
Yeah, I'm all right, man. How's isolation treating you?
Yeah, it's been all right, to be fair. I mean, as I was just saying to you before we come on air about my barber, I've not seen him in I don't know how long, so my hair's looking, and my face is looking torturous. But other than that, listen, it's what we've got to do. Fortunately, I'm still managing to get in the gym, get out, go for walks, go for runs and that, but still at the same time, I'm in the same boat as everybody else, really. Just got to stay safe, stay indoors, and obviously I have to venture out now and then for when I do like work, talk sport and things. But other than that, it's just about keeping everyone on lockdown, keeping everyone safe.
That's it, man. 100%. Got to echo those thoughts there. We are live. I love doing these live shows, man. Now I know why Mark loves it so much. I'm usually out there at the grounds and stuff, but doing this live stuff is good. So we can see you guys in the comments. Let's try and get up to 1,000 or 2,000 watching live. Hopefully we can do that, and we'll get a lot of your questions in for Darren as well. But I want to start with what the title of the video is called, Darren. Maddison / Grealish ? I mean, look, hypothetically, if Pogba stays at Man United, that conversation could be null and void anyway, because then there's Bruno, there's Pogba, the likes of Grealish and Maddison might not even get in. But let's just leave that to the side. In terms of, who do you think's the better fit for United, or who do you think has a higher chance of going? Who would you lean with?
I think if you're looking at what you got now, with the way Bruno Fernandes has come in and been as good as he has, I'm probably more inclined to say Grealish, because I look at Maddison and he's more like Bruno Fernandes, as in like he will try them extravagant passes, he'll shoot from distance, that kind of real creative player that's off the cuff. Whereas Grealish is one of them that he might not have that same kind of creative spark like a Maddison or Bruno Fernandes has got, but what he's good at, man, is just bringing the ball, 50, can draw fouls, go past people. To be fair, scored more goals than I thought he was capable of this season. He's been one of the best players. But I said he can contribute, he can work hard. He's a big physical frame, and I think he'd slot in really well there with the midfielders you've got. Whereas for me, Maddison is not exact same, but is kind of like Bruno Fernandes. As I said, they'll try things off the cuff. It might not always work, but I think for me, I think Grealish would be the perfect fit for United.
Yeah, I tend to agree in terms of, like, I just think, I keep saying this, if Maddison was at Aston Villa, I don't think he has as big an impact like what Jack's doing. Like, Jack Grealish kind of looks like, obviously he's captain as well, but like if he doesn't play good or he doesn't provide the goods, they look like they struggle. Whereas I don't know if Maddison could like drag them through the mud. I don't know.
But that's the only thing, and I fully get what you're saying, I understand that. But that's the only thing at times, that sometimes when you're playing a poor team though, and you're the best player, like it always looks like you're doing a lot more. So probably if you took Maddison and put him in Aston Villa, he'd probably look maybe not as good, but he'd still look very, very good, because he'd still be the best player.
So you still think he'd shine? He'd shine there?
He'd still shine. Do you know what I mean? So you'd still shine. So listen, they're both tremendous young English players, and even though it's a bit of a killer that the Euros has been postponed, at the same time you'd have to say it now gives them, both of them, a full season again to see. And obviously you're not just throwing them two in the mix now. You're talking about Loftus-Cheek's going to be back. Dele Alli will have a full season. Mason Mount again will be another season ahead of his development. So you're going to have about 6 players effectively fighting for them.
Who do you think's highest in that sort of tier? Like you said there, even Phil Foden coming into it, like he looks like a proper player. Like who do you think leads that pecking order?
I think if you go on right now, performance this season, you'd have to say either Maddison or Grealish. But I don't think it comes down to just that when it comes to Gareth Southgate. I think a lot of it comes down to trust. And I think Gareth Southgate, we've seen what happened to Jack in the last couple of weeks with him going out and stuff, and that's not going to help him. But I think when Gareth Southgate looks at people like Mason Mount, even Dele Alli to some extent, when he goes to about a major tournament, he's going to look at these guys and think, well, I know I can trust these guys. They're not going to let me down. There's not going to be any kind of outside interference. Whereas you look at Maddison, there's always something going on. There's always been, not always something going on, that's a bit unfair, but he's had his issues. Grealish has also had his issues. So I think all this is going to, if they can both clean, I think if they both clean it up next season, and there's no things that happen next season, then I do believe them two are the front runners. But then we know what Dele Alli's like. When he's on it, and Loftus-Cheek, when them two are on it, and honestly, I'm glad I'm not Gareth Southgate. I'll pick that squad. If they're performing really, really well, I don't know who you take.
Yeah, and that is the problem. It's kind of like we've needed a wealth of attacking talent, and all of a sudden the current young crop of players coming through England looks actually quite promising. Look, I'm not going to go as far as saying that they're going to win top honours, but we come close to it in the semi-finals, obviously, of the World Cup. But it looks like a good headache for for Southgate to have. But on the Grealish and Maddison thing, do you sit on the side of if Pogba doesn't leave, then neither of them two come in anyway, or you think Man United still could go for one of them? Bearing in mind we haven't talked about Jadon Sancho, which we will do in a minute.
Yeah, I still think they'll go for one of them. I think there's still, it seems to be Grealish, but I seem to think that Grealish has been courted by United for some time now. Because I remember one of the games we played up there, and Grealish was getting talked about then, and he was only a young kid then. So you talk about he would have been 17, maybe 16.
When you was at Villa? Was he in the reserves?
Yeah,
Not reserve.
yeah,
Was he coming through?
He was coming through, but he was training more and more of us, and you could see back then.
What was he like?
Yeah, he was good. Like he was one of them that he was big, physical, and some of the older senior pros would kick him and he'd get straight back up. And I think that is the sign of a good player, someone who understands how good they are. As I said, he's a big physical, big powerful presence. So for me, it's I still think they'll still get one of them. I think, as I said, they'll go for more Grealish. But I mean, what a midfield you'd have if you can manage to get Grealish, Bruno Fernandes, and Pogba all in that same midfield. I mean, I don't know defensively. I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The balance, like, would the balance even work?
But listen, if you could have them three good midfield players, and we've even seen Jack at times play from the left. So I think, listen, to get one of them would be fantastic, and Jadon Sancho as well. I mean, I don't think you'd have enough money, but if he then was to sell Pogba, then wow.
Yeah, exactly. Before we touch on Jadon Sancho, I'm going to go to one of the super chats here. Thanks for the contribution from Reese William. He says, analyze Darren's poor performance on Mastermind. Have I missed something? When was you on Mastermind?
You don't remember this? All people been talking about, I've been getting hammered.
Was you poor? You didn't know no questions?
No, listen, I got 3 right in 2 rounds, but my specialist subject was James Bond, and I'm a big James Bond fan. But the questions they asked me were like in-depth questions, like which I froze when I got up there. But listen, like what people keep forgetting, I did it for charity.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
For charity, but listen, I've been getting hammered. Talksport, everywhere I've been, there's all people been asking me.
When was this?
I filmed it about 6 months ago, and it aired about a month. I think it aired about a month ago because they said it was a Christmas special. And when it didn't come out around Christmas, I thought, "Oh, I might have dodged a bullet here." But no,
they came for you.
I think it was the first Saturday that there was no football because of obviously the whole Corona thing. So it was enough. It was 5 o'clock as well, prime time.
So they thought we'll just put Darren up.
I could do a BBC as well. Prime time.
Oh, mate, love that. Thanks for the contribution there. That was funny. Keep your comments coming in. Keep your questions coming in. We'll get some questions to Darren as well. We're nearly 1,000 people watching live, which is fantastic. Let's push over that 1,000 mark. Smash a like on the video. Make sure you guys do that. Jadon Sancho does. A lot of talk about him coming to United, regardless of Champions League football, etc., which is one aspect. But just the fact of how that fits, do you think that's a perfect fit for United?
Yeah, I mean, he is one of the best youngsters in world football. And listen, let's not take into a fact that there's no Champions League. It's still Manchester United Football Club, and I think people forget that. Do you know what I mean? People seem to forget that. Well, they're not in the Champions League, so. But I guarantee you, 90% of footballers out there would rather go to Manchester United than, I don't know, a team that's in the Champions League, because Man United are iconic. They've been they are one of the biggest teams in world football. So for me, to get Jadon Sancho, and I said this on TalkSport a little while ago about if Liverpool were to get rid of Salah, sell Salah and buy Sancho, and a lot of people laughed at it. They said, no way, like he's not that good.
I remember you saying that, yeah.
Yeah. So if United were to get him, I mean, what a talent he is as well. I mean, he's gone to Dortmund, he's learned his trade, he's been a joke this season with goals and assists, the connection he's got now with Haaland up front. I mean, if you can get him on, I think they're saying it's not even that expensive either.
But what about 100? They're saying 100 plus.
Well, okay, that is expensive. I'd heard the buy
100 plus, mate. That is going to be peas.
50 million, but I mean,
well, for Sancho, no chance.
Someone said about, I think the buyout was 50 or something, but obviously that's wrong. But as I said, not to get him. I mean, I don't think you've got enough money without selling Pogba to get Grealish or Maddison and Sancho, because you're talking about 160 million, 170
100%.
million.
Well, a lot of Man United fans are saying the priority is the right wing area. Rants has his say on Daniel James all the time and slates him and says he's crap and this, that, and the other. He doesn't see anything in there. I just see some of the traits that he does have, but I just think we do need better in that position. He's come up from the Championship, difficult league, playing game after game for Man United, a lot of expectancy on the young kid. Whereas Jadon Sancho has that star quality, has them star attributes. But it looks like that's the priority area, because like you said about the Maddison Grealish situation, we can't go and get all 3, especially if Pogba stays. Where do Maddison and Grealish fit into that? But if you're looking at it like for a whole from our team, Jadon Sancho comes straight in on that right-hand side, and you're looking at Martial, Rashford, Sancho, madness, with Pogba and Bruno just behind.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at that Sancho on the right, Rashford down the middle, Martial on the left, or them three there, already you're thinking, wow, is a step up, is an upgrade. And then you're right, you talk about Pogba if he stays behind with Grealish or Maddison or Bruno Fernandes. I can't forget that guy. I mean, you talk about that is a nucleus of a very, very good team. And even defensively, I really like Chukwueze. I really liked him. Obviously, I met him. I spoke to him a couple of times. I thought, I like this kid. He's got a big, powerful frame. But obviously, he's had his injuries. But I think defensively, you guys are okay as well. So, and just be honest, I know you still got De Gea, who's had his problems this season. But if you were to let him go, say you sell him for 60 million, you've got Dean Henderson, who's arguably one of the best goalkeepers this season in the Premier League, to come in and fill that void straight away. So I think Man United at the minute, this time, are in a really, really good place. But if you can go and get somehow Grealish, or I think the priority is Jadon Sancho on that right hand side. I think he's that real X factor, because you've got Bruno Fernandes who's come in and changed life, can create opportunities. But if you talk about that raw pace, creativity, excitement, and then three, as I said, Sancho, Rashford, and Martial, if they're all firing, then Man United are going places.
100%, man. This is from Trading Cards and More. Another super chat. This is for you, Darren. Darren, which of our defenders would you fear most? That's a good question. Thank you for the contribution there. We'll get back to talking about transfers and stuff, but that's just a question that's coming for you. Who would you fear most out of our team right now defensively?
Nobody. But that's just me. that was just my mindset. Because listen, like when I look at Man United centre halves from the past, I've had to deal with people like Vidic, Rio. Do you know what I mean? These guys, Wes Brown, like these guys are animals. I mean, and back then, in my head, I was always like, well, I don't fear these guys either. But if there was one guy in Man United's back line I wouldn't want to play against, if I was a wide man, it's got to be Wan-Bissaka, because no one can get past him. No one can get past him. Do you know what I mean? I've seen people run in full pelt, and every time they go past him, I think, oh, they've got past him. He just manages to get back and get a foot on it. And I think it might have been Gary Neville, but I think 1-to-1 defending, I think that he's got to be up there in one of the world's best.
It's Jeremy Carragher saying it, I think. Yeah,
as in, he doesn't matter who he's playing against, he'll always relish the challenge. And that's why I'm not talking about people talking about Man United at the back at the start disastrous. I don't think you are. No. He's good. I think Brandon Williams is coming. I think he's not bad. Luke Shaw seems to, I think you can do something with them too. You've got Harry Maguire. And even at times, I said, Chukwueze, he comes back, or you go and sign another centre half. Even if you bring Smalling back, you know what I mean? That is a strong back line. So, as I said, playing against one of them, it wouldn't want to play against Wan-Bissaka.
How do you think you'd do against Maguire now? Well, not now, because you're not as fit as you was, but
right.
But like, if you know that type of big towering centre half, I know you talk about the Rios and the Vidiches, and I'm not going to suggest to get ahead of myself and suggest that he's, better than those two, because those two are absolute levels. But Harry Maguire is our captain now, leader. Commanding, strong, powerful, good in the air. Do you think you'd have your work cut out against him, or would that be the type of centre back you kind of relish?
No, I mean, as I said, there was no centre backs I ever played against, and I thought, oh, now I'm a bit overawed. And I played against Harry once when he was at Wigan.
Yeah.
When I was at Derby, and you can see that he was very, very good on the ball, talented, not scared to dribble out, play out from the back. I managed to nick one in that game as well, score. So,
so you got around him then.
Listen, he's a very, very good centre half. He's got all the attributes. I mean, he's quicker than people think. When he gets going, he's quick. He's good in the air, and not only defensively, attacking set plays as well. He gets his head on a lot of things. So I think he's still quite young, but being Man United captain, he's only going to get better and better.
Absolutely. We are at coming up to 1,300 live watching. Let's try and get to 1,500. Smash a like on the video. Like I said, we've got plenty of questions for Darren coming in, as well as talking about our team, Manchester United. This is from D1 Soccer King. Another contribution. Appreciate that. Will James become levels battling with Sancho? I mean, let's talk about Dan James. I just see a player who's very raw, very quick, obviously, but I think he's very raw. I don't think he has all the tricks and all the turns to twist a man up and nutmeg someone and flip flap and all that. So direct, and he's so quick. I think he's always going to get into great positions. And if he learns that patience and that guile to take the right choice at the right time, I think he could be really effective.
Well, listen, it comes down to mentality as well. And you're right. I like Dan James. I think at the start of the season, I think he was very, very good. He was just what United needed. You know what I mean? There was a lot of doom and gloom around United, and he came in, slot straight in, back scoring goals, creating opportunities. And you're right. You talk about mentality and decision making. He gets himself into great positions by his raw willingness to run, work hard first and foremost, get himself in the right position. And then there's times where he's got to get his head up. If he gets his head up and picks the right pass in, it'll help him. But by bringing someone like a Sancho in, then he knows he's got to get to a next level to get in front of Sancho. Like I had it in my career when I went to Spurs. I had Berbatov, Keane, and Defoe in front of me. Now I went there
Big
knowing
man.
that. Exactly. I knew I wasn't going to play straight. As soon as I went there, I knew I wasn't going to play. But what it did, it helped me improve as a player. And I think Dan James will be listening to the noise about people coming in like Sancho. And he knows when Sancho's there every day in training, he knows, right, what does he do that I can add to my game? Listen, he might not be able to do the flicks and the tricks like Sancho can do, but he needs to look at aspects of his own game where he goes, right, I think I'm better than him in that. Because you have to say speed-wise, you'd probably say that they're probably on the same par, probably them two. You wouldn't say that one's more electric than the other, but it's Jadon Sancho's decision making that puts him ahead of him. So I think it'll be good for Dan James to look at it. He's still only young, but he'll go, right, Sancho's ahead of me now. What have I got to do, training and in games, to get myself up to that level and get beyond him?
I hear you. I mean, it is about using another player, like I said, to elevate your level and push you on. But I don't think there's any arguments that, like you're saying there, like Sancho's step up. Like he's pretty much world class, not far off. Like you need that consistency. But in terms of the ability he's showing and the number he's putting up, if he continues that for another couple of seasons, he'll be in that world class bracket. Because I think that world class bracket is used too loosely. Like someone's good for a bit. Do you know what I mean? It's world class.
I agree, yeah. I think people have half a good season, one season, automatically they're world class. When I look at world class players, I'm looking at 5 years, 6, 7 years, consistently being at the very, very top, and you go, right, they're world class. Like you look at people like Sergio Ramos, been one of the great defenders for 10 years plus, Ronaldo, Messi.
That's world class, yeah.
That's world class.
I hear you. I want to, you see how you just spoke about the likes of Berbatov there, you had all them top strikers ahead of you and stuff like that. The striking situation at Man United, but kind of referring to a striker at Tottenham, Harry Kane. Rooney was saying that he can see what's going to happen with him, basically, that his attraction right now is goals. But, you know, at Tottenham, you know, they want to win things and they don't always get to. Is that patience going to run out of Harry Kane? And could you see someone like him fitting into United?
Yeah, listen, I think if Harry, because he came out already and said to himself, listen, if I don't think this team starts progressing at the level that I think I want it to, then I've got to look to go elsewhere. Now, again, if you're talking about levels in Harry Kane, if he goes to United, he plays straight away because he's one of the best. But you then go, well, hold on a second here. Where am I going to find 150 million? Because we're talking about Daniel Levy here, by the way, who is Tottenham's chairman, who will not sell them on the cheap.
He's shrewd.
He's shrewd. You're talking about how are Man United going to be able to afford 150 for Harry Kane, 100 plus for Sancho, 70 million plus for Grealish or Maddison? There's not enough money in the pot. But listen, I think if you can get Harry Kane, you gotta get him, and I think he'd be a brilliant fit. He knows the league. He knows a few of the English players that you've got in the squad as well. I think he's a natural born leader. He is England's captain. So I think for me, it'd be a perfect fit. I mean, imagine him. He's obviously got that connection already with Rashford. So he knows Maguire. So it'd be the perfect fit. It's just about money-wise. When it comes to Harry Kane, because I personally believe eventually he will leave Spurs, because Spurs are not going to compete for the league next season. I can't see them winning. They might not even get in the top four for the Champions League. So if they go and win, I don't know, the League Cup next season, is that enough ambition for Harry Kane to go, well, you know what? We won the League Cup now. I want to stay here for another 2-3 years. I can't see it.
Yeah, it's not going to happen, is it? Like, especially with how good he actually is. Like, you're talking about in terms of pure number 9. I mean, you that was your position. Like, you're not really on the wing and doing all these step overs and kind of number 9 within the width for the 18-yard box. Yeah, he's top 5 in the world for me. Number 9. Innit?
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. And you look at the situations around the world. You look at Real Madrid. Benzema's getting old now, so you have to say he's obviously maybe on the decline. Suarez at Barcelona. Do you know what I mean? Look at Lewandowski, who's still one of the best out there.
Aguero's coming to the end of his
Aguero. So he's probably looking at this scan. Well, you know what? Footballers are clever. You know what I mean? They start going right. Especially you're good at rating yourself and knowing exactly where you are amongst other forwards.
Yeah.
So if you look at the situation, Gan, well, in the next couple of years, I've had a few big injuries, by the way, so I don't know how I'm going to react when I come back from these injuries. So he's probably thinking the next couple of seasons, I need to be playing at the very, very top, or it might not happen again. So I can understand where he's saying by saying, well, you know what, I need to look at where I'm going here, and if we don't start progressing like I want us to, then I'm going to have to look at other options.
Another, sticking with the kind of Spurs / United link, you played with Gareth Bale when he was coming through. You played with him, didn't you? Yeah, that's what you did. Yeah, you did. He was coming through, and he's obviously been at Real Madrid, not being fancied. Looked like he was definitely going to be out of there to China, and that. This has been something that's kind of been around the Man United forum for ages. Oh, Bale could come, and then he's too old, and this, that, and the other. Some people saying you crazy, he's world class. Like, I know now we're linked with Sancho. It's almost like if you're going to choose between Sancho and Bale, it's almost null and void. But could you maybe see that? I mean, what type of player was he when he was coming through? And do you think he's still got like mileage left in the tank to play at the top level?
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's been a great player. He's been an absolute top player. You look at his resume about what he's won since he's been at Real Madrid. I mean, it's scary. And I still don't think he gets the respect he deserves playing out in Real Madrid. Do you know what I mean? You talk about guys did he win 3 Champions League? I think he might have won 4 Champions League, like 3 in a row, which is...
Yeah, he won 3 in a row, yeah.
Yeah, which is incredible. But yet, people still criticise him. You look at what he did in that Champions League final against Liverpool. Them 2 goals when he came out. Completely changed the game. But again, people give him the respect. But I think you said it there. If you're talking about Sancho or Bale, you've got to go Sancho. Young, hungry, on the upward spiral. Whereas Bale, yeah, you might get 1, 2 good seasons out of him. But then obviously he's been someone who's been plagued with injury the last 5, 6 years. So and he ain't going to be cheap either, by the way. Unless you get him free, you still have to pay big money for him. So it sounds incredible to get Bale at United, but I think Sancho, and I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer knows this, he's been real clever in some of his signings with some of the youngsters that he's brought in, the players that he's brought in. So I think it would go kind of against everything that he's kind of building at United to then go and get Bale, as I said, who we spoke about, who's been injury prone. Do you know what I mean? So, and you don't really need it. Bale plays from the right. I'd rather go and get Sancho, me personally. But
I agree. Yeah, I just think because of the longevity, and you look at the mold of player that Solskjaer's trying to buy and what he's trying to create, almost every buy he's bought, well, not every buy he's bought has longevity in it. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? And they fit the mold. So you look at Dan James, brilliant for the future. Wan-Bissaka, although he's excellent now, is only going to get better. Maguire's almost hitting his peak now in his career, 26, 27-ish.
He's young, isn't he? Fernandes.
Who? Bruno Fernandes, like 24, I think, 25.
So he would go against everything. If he brought Bale in when he had Sancho sitting there,
yeah,
I'm not quite sure that was the right thing to do.
100%. Waves rolls. It says Martial better than Kane. What do you reckon? 2 different types of players, or for you, there's only one who's better? What do you reckon?
You watch United more than any person I know, and who would you rather centre forward?
Wait. Just wait. Let me answer. Wait, let me give myself breathing space, because once you say things on the internet, can't take them back. So let me just. Kane is a much better number 9. Kane is going to get you 30 goals a season with the right service plus. So for that, 100%, I've always said I'll take Harry Kane and I'll take a proper number 9. But I feel that if we do get Sancho, that issue isn't as big as it would be, because you've got a fluent, interchangeable front 3 that's electric with Martial, Rashford, and Sancho. Do you see what I'm saying? But striker for striker, number 9 for number 9, Harry Kane is better.
I like Martial, don't get me wrong. But the only thing for me, he's a little bit too streaky. Like he'll go long periods where, well, not even long periods. He'll go periods where you go, wow, this is the kind of form that he needs to show more, because he's brilliant, scored great goals, got great attributes, good feet, can dribble. But then for me, at times, he then becomes like the nearly centre forward, where he can go long periods where he's kind of in and out of games, doesn't really, like, his finishing kind of goes a bit wayward. He can disappear, he's easily marked. You're not quite sure what you're going to get out of him. At least with Harry Kane, when he's fit, even if he's not playing up to the very, very top of his powers, he's still going to score goals. You talk about a guy that's won like two golden boots, a World Cup golden boot. I think it's going to go on to break England's all-time goal scoring record. So for me, it's not even a conversation to have. If you're going to have Martial or Harry Kane centre forward, there's only one decision.
Andrew Ellis says here. Actually, where is that? He says Martial has better football abilities than Kane, and you know what it is. Yeah, I think this is where it might come down to preference, like of the type of player that you like. But if we're talking about solely number 9. Yeah, Martial might have better technical ability in terms of twisting up a guy, again, flip-flap, step over, evading challenges from a wide area. But I just think, look, as a Man United fan, I can't be biased about it. If you're talking about solid number 9 for Harry Kane's record speaks for itself. And I'm not disagreeing with you because you say that. Some people will say, oh, you're disagreeing with Darren. And listen, I look at things the whole way. And you can't say to me that Martial as a number 9 would get more goals in a season than Kane. Definitely, I just think Kane is the complete number 9 centre forward. Don't get me wrong, Martial, he's got aspects of mismanagement, different managers, pillar to post. What's been his best position? Number 9 on the left. You don't really know. On the right, he's been moved about pillar to post. So his development, okay, cool. And whereas Kane is like, boom, he's number 9. That's where he plays, and you feed him. But I just think Kane is a level up. I know that the injury prone thing, yeah, but.
If you watch the highlight reel, Martial's highlight reel would look better.
Yeah.
It looks like he can go past people, he can dribble, and you go, wow, what a player that is. But if you look about fundamentals and the basics of playing number 9, Harry Kane scores goals, holds the ball up really well, brings players and other players into the game. Do you know what I mean? And I just think for me, you know what you're going to get. If you think about Martial, it's the unpredictability. Where's he going to go from game to game? Harry Kane, you pretty much know every single game what you're going to get from him.
Someone said in the comments there that Walcott was better than Darren Bent. Marky Lightstan says, laughing at that, Walcott better than Bent, LOL. Darren smashed in goals for Sunderland. Do you know what I'm saying? Put respect. Listen, Theo's not getting anywhere near the amount of goals Darren's got, yeah? Theo Walcott's still waiting to fulfill potential, yeah? He's still a young kid, according to everyone else, so put respect on the name. I want to talk to you about Jesse Lingard, because I know you spent time with him at Derby when he was coming through on loan, so you would have seen a little bit of his temperament. I know he was a young kid then, and that was before he was the superstar that he is now. But he's been getting a lot of stick, which I'm sure you're aware of. He's come out and said, there's been things off the pitch that have affected him, but if we leave that where it is, because I only want to talk about the football and the facts, which is what we have seen, which is poor performances from him from the last, I'd say probably 18 months to 2 years. He's been awful, but you can't forget the good moments he has brought Man United, in big games against big teams, scored good goals. Where do you see him? Is it a fact of like sometimes a player can rise up too quickly and people think there's something they're not, and that's unlucky for the player. The player can fall off from being propelled too quickly. Like, where do you see Jesse in this?
Jesse's a funny one, because I was with Jesse at Derby, as you said there, and he came in on loan the same time as I think me and Tom Ince came in. Now, Tom Ince was ahead of Jesse. Like, Tom Ince came in, done well, was playing all that time ahead of Jesse. Right, and I can never quite understand it, because we'd see in training and moments when Jesse would come on that for me, Jesse was always better. And I think it's reflected in their careers. Like, Tom Ince has never really been able to make the step up to unite to the Premier League. Like, I think he's had a couple of chances with Palace and
Blackpool.
Maybe Blackpool, but for whatever reason he can't cut it in the Premier League. He's not a Premier League player. Whereas Jesse was playing a little bit of Derby, showed flashes, went back to United and turned into a superstar overnight. Do you know what I mean? I think he scored in cup finals for you. He scored a couple big goals.
Semi-finals, Chelsea, big goals, Arsenal.
So he went from there to there, had a brilliant World Cup with England. So he kind of went from the nearly player to all of a sudden, as you said, a superstar. And I think now this bit of time that he's had where he's maybe not been up to scratch where we've seen it, it's just a kind of teething problem as well, where he's trying to now adjust that people now, because he came from obviously on loan at Derby in the Championship, not really playing. So all of a sudden, one of United's main men and England's main men, you get judged on, do you know what I mean, different levels. So people are now going, well, hold on a second here. We expect this from Jesse every single game. And sometimes it doesn't always work out like that. And he'd say himself that his performances haven't been up to the standard that he knows he's capable of. But I think there's still more to come from Jesse, because we've seen at times when he is on fire and he's got that kind of technique where he can kind of glide past people. It kind of comes easy to him where he can just play. But as I said, for me, there's definitely more to come from him. But he's had a tough 18 months on the pitch and off the pitch. And I know what it's like when you've got things going off the pitch that are not going well. It really does reflect your thought process and how you train and how you play on the pitch. It's hard. They're not two separate entities. Some people will say, like, I can forget about everything when I'm on the pitch, but sometimes it's not that easy for players.
Jesse W says, I think Lingard's purple patch made people think he's someone he's not, and we expected too much from him. Do you see a little bit of that? Fans put in, because as fans, look, we're fickle. Like, as soon as we see someone burst onto the scene, it's like, oh my God, this guy's this guy's that. We put them up here. And then when they're not doing so good, it's easy as fans. I've done it over the years, which I think doing what I do now, and speaking to players and ex-players and stuff like that, I've managed to kind of come away from that and think about things a bit more. Sometimes we then go and slate the players and say they're not this and not that way, when really, when Jesse was scoring against Palace and putting in the top bins at Wembley in the cup final and scoring against Chelsea top bins, I got to think he's wicked. So it's like, is there a thing that maybe the fans have maybe got the wrong end of him, and then actually we've realised he's not what he is? Is it the club's fault for maybe not having enough players around him to, and the fact that someone like Jesse, has had to be that high up in the club?
But this is what we're saying about him coming from Derby on loan and hardly playing to all of a sudden getting thrown into the spotlight at one of the biggest clubs in world football, thriving, and everyone going, wow, what a player. Obviously got the big contract quite early as well. He hadn't been back long, got the big contract. And obviously fans then, once you hit a certain level, fans will always expect you to be at that certain level. They don't care how old you get or anything. They always, because you've had so many greats over the years, United, that from the moment they've stepped onto the pitch of United, from the moment they've left, I've been great. I've been absolutely top draw. So people will judge you. When you played for the big clubs like Jesse's at United, you get judged a little bit more harshly. So for me, I think he is a very good player. But I think fans are looking at it saying, well, hold on a second here. Look at the levels that he was showing when he first got back into the team. Look at the way he plays for England. We expect that week in, week out. And sometimes it's hard to not fulfill the potential, but to stay at that level for so long. And I said, when you then throw into the mix about things off the pitch, do you know what I mean? It's difficult for him sometimes. At the end of the day, he's very human. I've
seen that he's we've seen that he's changed his agent. Tomino Riola now, same agent as Pogba. We know what kind of circus comes with that, which is crazy. Do you think maybe the best thing for Jesse to do, because sometimes it breaks down at clubs, and the best thing for your career to do is move on? Do you think maybe the best thing for him to do is move on, since Bruno's come in, him and Andreas Pereira not getting any game time apart from second string, like against Derby, actually. I'm there obviously every week in the terraces, and I'll tell you what, Darren, you've probably experienced it. Like, as soon as he touches the ball, people just onto him.
Yeah,
people just onto him. Like I've been his biggest critic in terms of his performances the last 18 months, because he hasn't been good enough, and he's been playing game after game. But literally, sometimes I have to say, he ain't even done anything wrong yet. He ain't even touched the ball yet, and people going, "Oh, Jesse," like straight away, and you must be able to hear that, feel that. So do you reckon it's probably better for him that he moves on, fresh start, new surroundings?
Yeah, potentially, yeah. And he's a lot older than people think as well, because people still think him as a youngster.
So I'm saying he's not young, he's 27 now, bro.
Yeah, so for me, yeah, listen, he's still got bags of ability, and you're right in what you're saying. If it comes down, again, it's that word mentality, because you're right, Bruno Fernandes has obviously jumped ahead of him. Obviously, when Pogba gets back, Pogba will be ahead of him. Now they're looking at Maddison or Grealish to come in as well. So for me personally, I wouldn't want to sit there. I know I said iconic club like United, so sometimes it's probably better to stay where you are, because when you do get to play for United, do you know what I mean, the players you're playing with and things like that. But if you want to go somewhere and play week in, week out, I think that's going to help his England career again, because we know Gareth likes him. He's putting big performances for England, but you're not going to get selected by sitting on somebody's bench, or not even on the bench at times, because if you bring some players in, he might be in the stand. So, and I'd hate to see that happen to him. So I think for himself, he's probably thinking, right, there will be takers. If he becomes available, he's going to have a whole load of takers. So for me, it's more important for someone like Jesse to go somewhere, maybe take the pressure off him a little bit, go somewhere new, be the main man there, and then he will come again. Do you know what I mean? But I'd rather see someone do that than sit, as I said, on the bench or in the stand, getting no game time and just wasting away.
Talking about players that are coming and leaving and stuff and coming in, let's talk about a player that we, as in Man United, not you. I keep saying Darren's not a Man United supporter. That we have. Everyone's asking about it. Ask about Mason Greenwood. People want to hear what your thoughts are about Mason Greenwood. This is from Josh. He says, what does Darren think about Mason Greenwood? We talk about all these players coming in, the Sanchos and maybe a Kane or a Bale and all these kind of players, a Grealish and all that. But how well do you think Mason Greenwood is going to progress over the next, you know what I mean, so let's say 5 years?
Yeah, I like him. I like him a lot. And when I watch him, I see Van Persie. I don't know what it is about him, the way he's
mad, the way he moves, the way he shoots, everything. Yeah.
I see Van Persie. Like, it's scary. We know how good he was for United. But I really like him. But I think he's at a point in his career where I won't go on loan anywhere. I'd stay there, learn your trade at United. You're going to get more and more game times. You're going to get more and more minutes. But it's difficult, because when you talk about Sancho coming in from the right, who's still young, Rashford's still young, Martial's quite young, Dan James, he's young. Do you know what I mean? And then they add another one to that mix. Like say Harry Kane comes in, you start thinking, well, when am I going to get my opportunities? But he's got time on his side, so he's all right. He doesn't need to go anywhere yet. And as I said, same thing that happened to me. By these players coming in and working with these players day in, day out, it's only going to benefit him. And eventually something will click where Ollie will go, right, I can't leave him out of the team. Ollie's going to see him more than anyone in training, in games when he gets game time. So he's going to be looking at thinking, it's going to come to a point where he's going to say, I can't leave him out. He's one of our main men. He's got too much to have him just sitting on the bench. So he'll get his opportunity. But right now, he's just got to sit back, keep applying his trade, keep learning, keep trying to watch people like Rashford, Martial, these guys, seeing again, looking at his own game, thinking, where can I improve? How can I make myself better than him? Because I think he's probably the best finisher United got. Natural born finisher is the best you've got. So it's just about adding a little bit more, like maybe strength, a little bit more pace. But remember, he's only young, so these things will come. But I'm a big fan of his, and I'm really looking forward to the next 5 years, because you talk about he could be Man United's main man and one of England's main men.
Absolutely. And you know what? It's all about that balance as well, because you see with Greenwood, he's in this weird situation already where he's proved he can score goals at Premier League level.
Exactly.
Which, you talk about youngsters, it's like you don't know how they're going to be. You've got to wait, give them season after season. He's come in already and shown he can score goals. So this little, I'll say the next 18, probably 2 years is key of how we manage him, because there could become a point where it's like, well, we know he can score. He can go Newcastle then and just and go on loan and score and play, or Everton and play, or something like that. So if he's not getting the game time, I'm not going to suggest that now because he's only 17, 18. So fair enough. But if he gets to say 20 and he hasn't like fully broken in where he's not like a mainstay or getting, he could go, well, I can play. I know he loves Man United. He's come through the youth setup, and usually with players like that, they like to stay as long as possible. But I would hate for there to be a cut-off point where Mason goes, well, actually, every time I come off the bench, I score. Every time I start, I score, but I'm not the main striker. So let me go to, I don't know, like a Dortmund, or let me go somewhere. So I think for now, I think it's brilliant. Like you said, he needs to just learn his trade, take his time, and he'll get there. But you always worry, is there going to be that crunch time, especially because he's proved he can score goals.
There will be a cut point, because for any player, like I said, I was fortunate enough Ipswich Town to come through at 17, playing off the batch, play. But there will be a cut-off point where if I'd have got to 20, 21, I would have said, well, hold on, I need to go and play regular football here. I can't just sit here and wait for my opportunity. I need to develop, so I need to go on and play. So for Mason Greenwood being so young, he's got time on his hands. Do you know what I mean? So he can, I think right now, being at United, training with the players that he's training with, obviously playing under Ollie, he's in the perfect situation. He's going to be learning every single day by playing with these guys, playing against the defenders, playing against Harry Maguire every day. Do you know what I mean? Phil Jones, these guys, he's only going to get better and better.
Phil Jones?
Huh?
Phil Jones?
Well, he's in the squad, isn't he? You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is, I know what you're saying, but by playing against people like Phil Jones, Maguire, Bailly, these guys, day in, day out, every day in training, there's no point in him going.
Mate, I think playing against Phil Jones, give him full sense of security. You might think Premier League's too easy, right? No, but I know what you mean, though, in terms of just the experience and just playing against seasoned pros, isn't it?
Exactly. He doesn't need to go anywhere else. I mean, people talk about, but he needs game time. But I think the benefits of going elsewhere, they're perfect. But for someone in his position, being around top players that he'll see every single day, and I'm sure a lot of the United legends still come back to the training ground. Being amongst that will help his development more than going to a championship side and playing in the championship team. It's not going to help him.
I hear you. In terms of where Man United are now, I know football's stopped. Well, we're at 1800 actually. That's brilliant. Try and get to 2000. Watching the video live, smash a like. In terms of where we are, do you think we're going in the right direction? Do you think we're in a good space?
Of course you are. I mean, I've heard rants obviously talk about it. You've got to say about, you look at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He might not be everyone's cup of tea. I get that, but he's only some people's not their cup of tea. Sorry, because of some of the managers that are still out there available. But you look about all the signings that he's brought in. He's brought in Wan-Bissaka, who's been good. Maguire has been good. He's given Brandon Williams an opportunity. He's been good. Dan James at the start of the season was very, very good. He's brought in Bruno Fernandes, been an absolute sensation. Do you know what I mean? So I don't see. And by the way, you look at some of the results that he's picked up, what he's done to Manchester City this season. Do you know what I mean? He calls Man United again in the right direction. Now, you also bring in other players that he's been linked with. Like people talk about Sancho who wants to come to United. Grealish wants to come to United. That's not because they're not saying because oh, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's in charge. I'm not quite sure. They're saying, well, you know what? I want to go and play for that guy. So for me, Man United again in the perfect trajectory. And obviously, if they can sort the Pogba situation out, whether he's staying or he's going, I think Man United are in a great position at the minute, and especially they're only going to get better and better. So next season, I know what's happening this season. We still don't quite know what's going to happen. But you fast forward a year, I guarantee you Man United are there fighting for that Champions League spot, if not higher.
So it's just about keeping that patience. I think because we got off to such a bad start, and we were literally smashing records, like our worst league start in 30 years. And some people are still saying, now this is just me giving the other side to it, devil's advocate. A lot of United fans are saying if we didn't get Bruno as a panic buy, then we'd still be just as crap, because before he come, nothing was happening, and literally since he's come, our fortunes have turned. Is that too easy to just say it's only down to that, or have you got to give Ollie credit because he's brought in good players? All of his buys have been good. He's got some out, and the last 11 games, I think we've been really good.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think what it comes down to as well. Listen, Man United was spoiled for a long time. By the way, do you know what I mean? A long time. 25 years. Do you know what I mean? He was spoiled. So for me, I know people saying, "Oh, Fernandes ain't coming," but at the end of the day, again, you've got to give Ollie credit, because Fernandes was linked to a whole lot of teams, and he could have gone anywhere. Do you know what I mean? But again, he went, you know what? I quite like what's going on at United. Obviously, he must have spoke. I know he would have spoke to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer before he got there. So obviously,
spoke to Ronaldo as well and Nani.
Exactly. So for me, you got to give him credit that you can't all of a sudden go, well, they got lucky. But at the end of the day, whether he got lucky or not, he got him. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I like what Man United are doing, and as I said, I'm really intrigued to see, fast forward a year from now, to see what players you brought in, who's gone out the door, because I think Man United, as I said, are going in the right direction, and Ollie's doing a good job.
Do you think we get top 4 if the season resumes?
I think it'll be difficult, but you're in the mix. You've given yourself the opportunity. I mean, I think there's a few teams that are in that kind of bracket. I think Wolves are there, you guys, Spurs are there,
Sheffield United, mate.
Sheffield United there as well. They really deserve a lot of credit as well. So for me, it's about next season. Yeah, if you don't get there, brilliant. But it's about what happens at the end of this season, the window, the players you bring in, and then we'll see where United are going next season.
All right, guys, you guys in the comments, get your questions into Darren now on a personal level. It doesn't have to be about Man United, but this is from Murray. He says, against United, who was the defender Darren found toughest to play against? I mean, I know the answer to this one. You've told me many a times. But for the people whenever you played against us, when you were playing, regardless of who you played for, actually, we could have been different periods though. Actually, who did you find it toughest to play against?
Rio and Vidic. Probably Rio, probably more so than Vidic, but them two as a pair. But not even as a pair. When I think back to United's back four at that stage, which was Evra, Vidic, Rio, and Valencia, mate, it was so hard because they could all run. They're all powerful, all very quick. And when you add Van der Sar behind that as well, I mean, there's a few times I played against United, and I found real. Like, it was kind of a bit of an eye-opener, because I remember particularly something happened, and I think Van der Sar must have accidentally punched Rio in the back of the head, and Rio turned around and absolutely blasted Van der Sar. And I remember I sat back, and I remember in the change room, I kept thinking about it, because I thought, for a top player like Rio to be able to scream at another top player like Van der Sar shows the level of kind of respect and the kind of winner's mentality that United had at that time. Do you know what I mean? Like, I remember speaking to Patrice. I was on a coaching course with Patrice not that long ago, and he was telling me that they used to have full-blown fights virtually in training because they want to kill each other. But that mentality was on the pitch, because on the pitch they always used to fight together, and they were arguably the best team, United. So that period there, playing against Vidic and Rio, but as I said, Rio had that little bit more about him on the ball. He was quick, organisation was brilliant. It was tough. That whole period there was really, really difficult to play against them.
Daniel Wilson. I don't know if that's my cousin, actually. My cousin has exactly the same name. Do you know, he's exactly the same name, but he never comments on anything on social media. So I'm like, is it really him? But the question's good. What's Darren Bent's favourite goal he scored?
Probably the volley against Wolves at Molineux for Derby.
That one where I said to you the other day wasn't even top bins.
Yeah, you trying to say, did you say come off my shin or something? But yeah, probably that one. Yeah, they come off my shoulder and I hit the volley. I mean, that
was your favourite goal in your whole career?
Yeah, I mean,
or was it just the best?
It's probably the best. One of my favourites was at Old Trafford, funny enough, against United, where I was at Sunderland, and it was probably in the first 10 minutes, someone rolled me the ball and I turned inside. I don't know who I turned.
Did you turn Rio?
And I smashed this shot and it flew into the bottom corner.
What did it feel like scoring at Old Trafford? Because you know, it's like 75,000 people. It's loud. It's intimidating. You know, theatre of dreams, all of that stuff. Especially when no disrespect, but you wasn't at Tottenham. You was at like a Sunderland or a Charlton or whatever. To score or be in the lead and to score the goal. What did it feel like? Did you think, nah, don't get too excited because you know they can come for us, or did you think like we can do this? Like, how did it feel silencing like Old Trafford?
Do you know what it was like? I mean, I think I never got a point at Old Trafford a couple of times. And I don't think I ever won there. There was obviously the time. There was a time at Fulham where I scored last minute. I think 94th minute, 2-2. But do you know what I'd say about Old Trafford? Getting there, I used to like walking out on the pitch before games started. I used to love doing that. Just looking around the empty seats, the size of the place.
Yeah, it's massive.
That was always good. But do you know what I always give respect to Man United fans for? Like as I said, I went there and got a couple of points. I got there one with Sunderland and one with Fulham, I think. And we played really well in both them games. And I remember walking off after the game and United fans giving us a standing ovation. Because, and I'm always remember thinking, well, that's respect. Because obviously United fans are used to teams coming there and then just absolutely walloping them times, whoever they used to play against.
Easy,
whoever they used to play against. But obviously I went there and they give us a standing ovation, like walking out of the tunnel. And I remember thinking like, that's big respect. So I always have a lot of high praise for United fans, to be fair, for them two occasions.
Jack Jones says the beach ball goal is Bent's best goal. Obviously, the Liverpool connection there as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
cool.
when that happened, I remember watching that live at my house, and I was like, "Oh!" At first, I was like, "What happened?" And I was like, "I don't care. It's there. What goal?" And then obviously, you see it back, and it's just absolutely calamity. Like if that happened now, I don't even know why the goal wasn't disallowed. Like I don't understand. But what was you thinking? Did you realise it hit the beach ball? Did you what was going through your head?
Yeah, I mean, I saw straight away I hit it, but it didn't really cross my mind because obviously it never happened before. It didn't even cross my mind as if to say, you know what, like this should be disallowed. I just thought, all right, it's a goal. Let's just celebrate and let's go on and won the victory. And obviously we won that game 1-0, but it was a really crazy period that time because we won that game. Obviously, I hit the beach ball, but Liverpool were having an absolute torrid as well. We beat them. I think Blackpool might have beat them the week after, and they were in real tough periods. But I mean, it's one of them there that I think when it happened at the time, people didn't really kind of jump on it. But obviously, as it's gone on, like I think it's 10 years or whatever, people have jumped all over it.
That was brilliant. You couldn't have written it better for a better team. Rudy says, "Can you persuade Ben?" You can see it there. Can Ben persuade Jones to go to Ipswich, please?
If he's going to make Ipswich better, then yeah, I'm all for getting down there. Listen, I know people obviously, United fans obviously they mock Phil. But there were times where he was a very, very good defender.
Yeah. No, especially when he came in from Blackburn. I mean, so Alex said, you know, he could be the next Duncan Edwards. Said he could be the next England captain and stuff like this. That didn't quite materialise, but. To put respect on Phil Jones in his very, very early United career, he was all right, man. He was all right. He was a steady Eddie, but I think you know injuries got the better of him, and mistakes, confidence as well. I think he's another one he probably needs, but just got a big contract. Like you know, he's got another couple of years. We gave him an extension, so I don't really think. Yeah. He's going to be going anywhere anytime soon. I want to ask you this actually. Did you notice a difference between playing United home and away? Like I know that sounds like an easy question, but like it's look at him saying no straight away.
No. Them times I was playing against United, they were ruthless, home or away. Do you know what I mean? Like when we used to play against them at Man United, that was their home. But they always used to turn up wherever I was at with this arrogance, and it was like a good arrogance, like. I remember being at Sunderland and they had this thing called, I think it was called sterile, or I can't remember what the word was, right? But basically, when they get off the coach and walk through the stadium to the changing rooms, no one's allowed to be in the corridors.
What? No one's allowed to be there?
No one's allowed to be in the corridors. So all the doors were shut and it was just them that walked through. Now, I think they're the only club I've ever played against that had that. But honestly, they used to stand up and they had this kind of arrogance. And you used to stand in the tunnel waiting for the game and you look across and they were just like machines. Like well-oiled machines where they weren't laughing and joking. They were all focused, all ready to go. And as I said, that people underestimate how good that United team was because they were just fundamentally solid from back to front, goalkeeper to centre forward. They were absolutely fantastic. But it started from when they used to come up for the warm up as well, all together. I mean, like robots. And I said that it was brilliant. It was honestly brilliant. It was a real eye opener to watch being the other team.
There you go, guys. Look how good we used to be, man. It pains us, but we look like we could be returning to something like that. Still nearly at 2,000, so keep going, guys. I'm sure we can push that over the line. Your boy, Zar16 says, best player Darren played with?
From a club perspective, Luka Modric. This guy, it's different. I mean, I think United linked with him, weren't they?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, then he just didn't end up coming like a load of players. Like Wesley Sneijder was always supposed to come United, but never did. Yeah. But Modric, man, in his prime as well. Like he's just recently won Ballon d'Or. But
exactly, absolutely.
What player?
Never give the ball away in training, outside of his boot for everything, which always a step ahead of everybody else. Couldn't get the ball off him. Top player. I mean, you saw, you're right, Croatian captain, how good he was in the World Cup, got them to the World Cup final, won the Ballon d'Or, was brilliant for Madrid. I think he was in the team that won 3 in a row as well. Do you know what I mean? So he's been a top player, and you know what I mean. And not only that as well, he was a nice guy, really real nice guy, down to earth. Like he had no superstar about him whatsoever, no arrogance where he'd go. Do you know what I mean? He was just down to earth, liked to do what he'd done, and he was a top player. Still is a top player.
And who was the best player you played with? Sort of when on, if you was in the England camp or something like that you'd kind of come across.
In the England camp, probably Steven Gerrard. He was brilliant. I mean, he again, the drive, the determination to do well. He just, again, in training, he was one that I looked at and said, right, I need to train better, because he trained like it was a game. He didn't care who he was playing against. And that was, again, another eye-opener when I first got into the England squad. Like, he'd smashed Lampard, Beckham, John Terry. He didn't care who was in front of him. He was going to win the tackle. And I remember thinking, well, maybe he was one that didn't train half-hearted. He trained 100% all the time. So I'd have to say him.
Can you remember your first England goal?
Yeah, I think it was against Denmark, I think. Not Denmark, it was against Switzerland, away.
Big goal. Big, how'd you feel? Habs?
Yeah, it was like I went on my shoulders, because I've kept scoring all these goals in the Premier League, couldn't get my first England one. But when that one went in, it was kind of like a relief, like, all right, I can relax now and just go from there.
Yeah. To finish off, last couple of bits, Darren. I know it's been in the news a lot about kind of footballers being scapegoated. Health Secretary Matt Hancock was sort of trying to, single out football, saying that they should be doing this, X, Y, Z. Since then, I'm not saying it's definitely in response to that criticism, but the players have set up this fund, this foundation, which is great to see. Do you think football has been a little bit, I don't know, picked on in this? Obviously, with what's been going on in the world, there's obviously lives are being lost. That's the biggest thing, and trying to get out of it. But just in a football context, because we're talking about that, do you think that players have been kind of poked a little bit, or do you think they do need to be more?
I think that Matt Hancock didn't help it with his statement, basically singling out footballers. I don't think that was quite a good idea. But listen, as you said there, they finally got it. I spoke to Jordan Henderson last night, obviously one of the main guys who put this foundation together, and it doesn't surprise me, because he is a top one. If you ever wanted to meet a footballer who was more down to earth, I mean, I knew Jordan from Sunderland when he was a young kid, but someone who's down to earth, again, no superstar about him, but wants to do the right thing. Absolutely fantastic. And it doesn't surprise me if this hadn't been going for a while now, and they were just trying to get the little basics over the line before they made the announcement. But for me, they're in a good place now. But I mean, footballers shouldn't be asked to bail out everybody. Like at first, I didn't like when certain members of staff in a football club, like your tea ladies and your kit men, were having to take wage reductions before footballers did. I didn't think that was right, because I'm all for football clubs looking after their own first and foremost. But now they've come to this scheme, and now they're going to help out the NHS as well. I mean, you've got to say well done to the players. I think Harry Maguire, one of your boys, I think he was one of the main guys as well, one of the first ones to say we need to do this. So eventually we've got there. There's obviously, as you said there, there's going to be people out there that are going to say, well, they've only done this because of that statement that Mr. Hancock came out.
I think they would have done it anyway.
I think they would have done it as well, but these things take time. Do you know what I mean? First and foremost, you've got to get everyone on the same page. It's not one of them things you can just throw out there and go, let's just do this. Do you know what I mean? So the good news is we've finally got there now, and hopefully we can start moving forward.
Do you know what? Because for me, I feel like I get it, because football wages and stuff like that and transfer fees is so well known to the public, and it's always out there. There's always that thing of like footballers get way too much money and stuff like that. But one thing I think the players don't ask for that to happen. It's the market. It reflects the money they get reflects the market that they're in, because that's how much sums of money is in there. But what I didn't like about that whole calling out thing is the fact that, well, hold on a minute. I ain't seen, no one's gone to Roger Federer and saying, why is he not doing this? No one's gone to Lewis Hamilton, who's Formula One, saying, you know, why are you not doing this? And even more from that, actors, singers, no one ain't, I don't see no one going to Adele or Ed Sheeran saying that.
I always thought to myself as well, you're right, because footballers obviously earn a lot of money, as you said there. But people just think that they've not had to work for that. So people haven't seen the sacrifice that footballers have had to make, which is like, do you know what I mean, when they were younger? It's not even just the footballers, it's their parents. As young parents, when they've had to get up early to take them to training, travel across the country, do you know what I mean? To get them the boots, get them all the fundamentals when you want to play football. But people automatically think sometimes that, well, not all fans, some fans think, well, it's easier for them, they just get paid a fortune. But they don't understand the footballers have had to work for it. But I think to myself, what about people that inherit a lot of money, that inherit millions and millions, a lot more than what
CEOs of big companies, you know, way richer than footballers. Club owners way richer than footballers. People who own oil things or own all these CEOs, company, whatever.
People that have inherited a lot of money that they've not had to work for it. Maybe their parents or their grandparents have had to work for it, but they've been inherited millions and hundreds of millions of pounds. People that go to them and say, well, give us a donation. But at times people think, well, footballers are easy targets. But I think you put it out there is that because transfer fees, new contracts are out there, it's quite open. People go, well, we know what they're getting. They should be able to do it. And sometimes it doesn't always work that.
I agree, man. This is a funny question. Rabin says, how did Flex meet Darren? That was that show on Channel 4, isn't it? Yeah, Robbie done a show. I was a guest on it, and Darren was a guest on it. It was a pilot show, actually.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, and I think we was in the producer's house, weren't we? Just chilling, and it just kind of went from there.
Yeah, it was in a pub.
The pub thing in Croydon, and then after that, Darren just started trolling me on Instagram, like when Man United would lose and stuff like that. And I just thought, is that Darren Bent? Why is he laughing for? And then it just went from there, innit? Really, which is great. And then BFFs ever since, man. The last question I got to ask you, because it come up with there, is Darren Bent thinking about coaching or managing?
Do you know what? Like, I thought about it. I've done my badges as well. So it's obviously people always go media or coaching. Do you know what I mean? It's like one or the other. And I went down to watch England train, and I spoke to a couple of the guys from the FA. I got me an academy, but I just don't know if it's me. Like when I go out to do like this kind of stuff, like chatting to you, go out and do my Talk Sport stuff, Sky Sports, BT Sport, I really enjoy it. Can't wait to watch the games, talk about it, have my opinion. When I'm going out to coach my academy at times, I'm a bit like, right,
I hope your academy players ain't watching.
Yeah. I'm a bit like, I've got coaches down there that are obviously really good at coaching. But when I'm going to coach, I'm a bit like, what session? And I find it a bit of a chore. So I think that in itself tells me that if I can't give it 100%, then I shouldn't be in that line of work. Whereas I give the media side of it 100%. I love doing it. So I think that's the road for me for now. It might change down the line, but right now I prefer doing the media side of it.
Also, that pressure that's on there, mate. Like, you've seen what it's like, mate. Us fan channels, mate. You know what I mean? You go on a bad run, you got a bad result, mate. You're going to get the likes of Goldbridge and Rants and Saeed and all these people, Ricky, just coming for you, mate.
And listen, I see the job Ollie's doing, and I see what Rants does to him. So I think you can't win. You can't win.
It's a good thing Ollie doesn't pay attention to Rants, then, eh?
You know what? I wonder if he does listen though. I know a lot of players and things will go. Some players can't help it; they have to check.
100%. 100%. I mean, I don't know if Ollie listens. I mean, but anytime, because I'm not in a press conference saying what Rant says, and I don't think what he thinks. Ollie's always been really cool to me. Anytime I see him, even when the bus is pulling in, he's always thumbs up. How you doing? He will stop and chat, and especially in the press conferences, even after they've finished and before, he'll say how you doing, whatever. I might take a picture. So I think what we've managed to do here on the United Stand is for sure, like up until this year, when you saw it on TalkSport, caused uproar. Yeah. Fan channel's never been in a press conference before, ever. And it was brilliant to be able to give an opportunity.
Do you reckon that's why Rant is so angry? Because you get that treatment on his up.
No, do you know what? I just think Rant's he's just an angry man anyway. Rant's just Rant thinks what he thinks, and nothing will change that. Which, to be fair to him, is a strength, because he won't he won't change it. But sometimes it could be a weakness because based on new evidence, he still won't change his mind.
He tried to say that if Man United were to win the league or something and Oli was in charge, he'd still be like, no.
He said if Man United, if Oli, won the league, the Champions League, the World Cup, the European Cup, the Intertoto Cup, the UEFA Cup, whatever cup he won, he said he would still want him out of United. And I said, you're just being silly here because that means that he's won every single thing. That means he'd be better than Klopp, better than Guardiola. He'd be the best manager in the world.
Yeah. and he still said he wants him out.
He wants him out. Wants him out. Do you know what I mean? I know at least 5 United first teamers who watch United stand a lot, so be careful in the comments. Says Mark Goldbridge, that's football. Make sure you check out his channel as well. He does like gaming, and you're into Call of Duty. Mark does like a Call of Duty campaign thing, streams it live and stuff like that. So I don't know, maybe you could jump into that. He's quite good as well. So I know you're like the COD king, innit?
Well, I wouldn't say that, but do more than I should do.
Yeah, 100%. Hey, listen, Darren, thanks for coming on, bro. Really appreciate it, man. It's always good to chop it up. And in isolation, when it's difficult, it's good to bring some smiles to people's faces and just, you know what I mean, just chill and talk football and talk whatever, man. So appreciate coming on, man.
No worries at all, man.
All right, big up, man. Guys, thanks for watching. We didn't quite get to 2,000, but it's all right. I'll let you guys off. Thanks for all the contributions, and we're just keeping this content as fresh as possible. We've got some really big interviews lined up as well. We've had Dini, we've had Mr. Darren Bent, we've got some more coming up. I won't spoil the surprises. And we'll see you guys throughout the week, man. Peace.